us, if you win and you are the next governor of Florida, how your administration will be different than Governor DeSantis's, or will you continue the same policies?
Maria, it's about building upon the success of Governor Ron DeSantis. Florida is #1 in America. We're not changing course from that. We want to continue to be #1 in America. It starts with law and order, making sure people are safe. When it comes to affordability, we want to reform the regulatory side of our insurance markets to push costs down, reform permitting in our state, find all the ways to make housing more affordable. Obviously, our property tax amendment is in front of voters this November. I support that amendment because we need to make sure that people can keep as much money in their pocket so they can continue to afford the Florida dream.
And that was Florida Congressman Byron Donalds with me here yesterday as Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' 2-term tenure is coming to an end and the race to replace him is heating up. Byron Donalds talked about his campaign with me yesterday. Joining me now is Florida's Lieutenant Governor Jay Collins. He is also in the running for the GOP gubernatorial nomination. Great to see you, Lieutenant Governor. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good to be on, Maria. Thanks for having me.
And we heard from Byron Donalds yesterday. As you know, President Trump has endorsed Byron Donalds. You have been in the role now and have seen what it takes behind Ron DeSantis. Yeah. How are you feeling about your campaign?
Look, it's been incredible. We're out there across the state, 67 counties, bouncing around, talking to people every single day. It isn't about the lobby corps. It isn't about the donations. It's about the people and the voice. And I'll tell you what, we have closed the gap. We are sitting over 30% right now, closing the gap with Byron Donalds. This is a real race. The primary is not over, and we're in this thing to win it. I don't have to talk about leading the state. I do lead the state, right beside the greatest governor in our state's history, Ron DeSantis.
Well, tell us about the policy that you think should be ongoing and what you would change should you become the governor.
Well, look, first and foremost, it comes down to moral compass and your capability to lead in hard times. Remember, Ron DeSantis wasn't America's governor until COVID happened, and he stepped in and protected our state and our nation in that breach. You got to be prepared, so you got to know how to lead in hard times. My entire life has been built upon that as a 23-year retired Green Beret. And I'll tell you what, our economy, our education, we're growing in so many areas. We've got to keep that momentum. But I'll tell you the one space that I do know different in a different way than many is defense. As a Green Beret, I fully understand the risks and threats around the world. We got to make sure we give our men and women in law enforcement the time, the tools, and the training necessary to complete their mission and get back home to their families. There are grave threats, and we got to protect them and make sure they have those tools right now.
Absolutely. And we just spoke with the CEO of Lockheed Martin, who walked us through those threats. You're also talking about a population that is growing and growing. Miami has overtaken New York City and California's Bay Area as America's hottest $30 million home market. What are you seeing in terms of transitions, people leaving high-tax states and coming to Florida? Is there pressure from those people to turn the state purple?
No, I don't know that there's pressure. We see a lot of political refugees right now, people who are fleeing the nonsense of Mamdani, California, Oregon, Washington State. They come here because they want economic freedom. They want opportunity. They want a chance to live their American dream right here in Florida. All we ask is don't New York or Florida, first off. Second, we've got to keep that up. That means we got to build an economy that works for everybody, safety in the community like we talked about, but we have to have an education system that prepares people to be in the workforce and do incredible things, as you just talked about in many regards.
Yeah. And of course, insurance for folks has become a real issue. What's your take on the insurance market right now and what you want voters to understand about how you'll affect change?
Well, I'm very practical in how we do this. Our tort reform package worked 4 years ago. We got to hold the line on that. Secondary, programs like My Safe Florida Home, My Safe Florida Condo show an $800 to $1,200 decrease in terms of premiums. We have to do more in terms of insurance clarity and transparency. So the price you're quoted is the price you actually get. We also need to make sure that fraud, we have strong laws, but we see fraud still as a major issue. We got to make sure we hold those people accountable and keep that cost from going on to the people. But what I will tell you is right now we have over 17 insurance companies back in the state. At our worst, right before I got elected, we had one insurance company. Rates are falling at zero. They're dropping in homes. Our auto rates are coming down. We're doing a better job. We're doing a good job, but we have to do more to keep drawing those rates down because it ultimately comes down to affordability, Maria, making
Yeah,
sure that we can afford the American dream, and so can our people.
that's right. And Governor DeSantis has talked about a major property tax reform that he'd like to see. What specific changes would you make should homeowners expect, and when would you make those changes?
Well, here's what I'll tell you. We have our referendum up. It's in November. People can vote for this. In 27, it's 150K. In 28, it's 250K. That's the first 150 of your home's value that will be tax exempt for homestead. And then in 28, it would be 250. I believe we can do more. I would love to see the eradication of homestead property tax here in the state of Florida.
Yeah.
So when you pay off your home, you own it free and clear of the government. That means we have to have some protections put in place. I would love to see the trust fund brought back in the back end of our package. And that's to protect our 29 fiscally constrained counties, not for a long-term subsidy, a short-term reset to get their tax rolls moving in the right direction.
Yeah, and you know, we were just talking all morning about Anthony Fauci. And I want to get your take on that because he was back in the hot seat yesterday, but he would not answer any questions. He took the fifth, 111 times, the Fifth Amendment in a Senate Homeland Security Committee hearing, and it follows the release of his diary, where he had some choice words for Governor DeSantis in that diary, who was trying to return Florida back to normal from all the pandemic restrictions. Fauci writes this: he is a Trumper and a real problem. Screw people dying, save the economy. Lieutenant Governor, you were in your role when COVID was going on. Your thoughts on Dr. Fauci's characterization of Governor DeSantis and the state's response to COVID?
Well, look, Fauci intentionally misled the American people. He's pleading the fifth because he has something to hide. The simple fact is this: there was one state that stepped up and led, that did the right thing, and our economy showed that. People have been flocking here, 800 to 1,200 people per day since COVID. Why? Because we have the greatest governor in our state's history in Ron DeSantis. He stepped into the breach, protected our state, and protected our nation. Furthermore, the Fauci, look, we know he hurt families. He certainly hurt our children. He destroyed middle income and small businesses. The Fauci ouchie is going on for generations, and it's time that we have accountability. The American people deserve that.
Wow. All right. We'll be watching all of that. Lieutenant Governor, good to see you this morning. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Maria. Appreciate you. God bless.
All right. We will talk to you soon. Thanks very much. Jay Collins joining us.